Hey guys, this is Callum from EnglishShooting, and I decided to come out into the fields to make this video into our beautiful British countryside to talk about the new general licenses. That's GLO 34, 35 and 36. Pretty much exactly replacing the ones that were taken away and revoked previously or earlier this year after Chris Packham and his goons at Wild Justice decided that they didn't like people out there preserving the countryside, out there preserving and maintaining the ecosystem by shooting birds that were pests that needed to be shot. They didn't like that, so they launched a legal challenge and got them revoked. Now, there are some subtle differences with the new licenses, and as I've said many times, I'm not an expert on the countryside, and the rural side of shooting is something that I'm very new to. So for somebody that certainly knows what they're talking about and goes into sort of finite detail line by line of these new licenses, go and check out The Gun Shop. Johnny does a fantastic job of explaining exactly what the differences are and what that will mean to the people using them. What I want to talk about is the continued attack on shooting, and again, something I've said on this channel many times, I want to help protect all areas of shooting. That doesn't matter to me if it's long distance target rifle, whether it's game shooting, whether it's pest control with pigeons, whether it's section 1 shotgun for practical shooting. If you enjoy an area of shooting, whether it's at artificial targets or living targets, I want to help to protect it. I want to try and do my bit to fight the misinformation out there, to put more factual information into the public eye, and to show what actually goes on and show the real element of shooting sports and the shooting lifestyle within the UK. And all this has been by Chris Packham and Wild Justice is an attack on shooting sports, another angle for them to come in to stop people enjoying their pastimes with firearms. And they've achieved nothing doing it. And actually, I say achieved nothing, they've certainly not achieved anything positive. Their disruption, their misguided and uninformed disruption, has affected perhaps the most fragile and most vulnerable period of the countryside, lambing season, the new season with all the lambs being born that are at high risk from these pest and predatory birds. The numbers will never come to light of how much livestock, how many songbirds, how many acres of crops have been destroyed because people haven't been able to go and effectively destroy and kill the pests that are responsible. Chris Packham actually, in his Good Morning Britain interview, says that, well, we need to have facts, we need to have research, we need to have figures to make an opinion on, to actually implement effective measures. Well, his decision and Wild Justice's decision to have these, well, to mount the legal challenge that got these licenses revoked was done without any of that. He fully admits within that interview that they don't know the numbers, they don't have any figures or research on the matters, so we should just stop it just to be safe. Well, no. As far as people who actually manage this land and are in the countryside and actually know what's going on, there was nothing wrong. There was no cause for concern. There weren't massive amounts of species being wiped out. Everything was well balanced and was working fine. And they decided to come and stick their noses in and disrupt, causing huge amounts of grief, causing anguish amongst the rural community. So in one word, he wants more research and scientific evidence before doing something, and goes and does something without scientific research. These people are dangerous. As I've said, I don't fully know, the balances, the nuances of the countryside. So that's why I consult with people that actually deal with this on a day-to-day basis before, conjuring up an opinion on it or even putting something out online. And Chris Packham and these sort of city eco-warriors, they look at the killing of animals and killing of birds as this monstrous thing, that how can anybody do it and why do we need to be doing it? Well, this field behind me needs to be protected. It's not about the game birds that are being reared at the moment here. It's not necessarily about the lambs that will obviously then be used for food, and I can understand why a vegan wouldn't like that. But crops that are natural, that are in essence vegan, still need to be protected by these pest birds. And the only effective way of doing that is by shooting them. So you can't sit on your high horse and say, no, we need to make sure that the killing of birds, that can't be happening, and no one needs to be doing that in this day and age. Well, actually, absolutely they do. Unless you want to be paying £20 for a loaf of bread, you need to protect the crops in the most efficient way. So ultimately, yes, this is just a bit of a rant to get it off my chest, because just like with the offensive weapons bill, the amount of people that really didn't know their arse from their elbow when it came to shooting sports were sticking their nose in, were trying to impose laws and restrictions and further bans without fully understanding. And I see it exactly the same with the general licenses. This is why, as a community, be that rural, target sports, if you own a firearm, if you go out and you use that firearm for whatever activity, legal and lawful activity that you go out and do that with, you need to be vocal. You need to be getting the right information out there. You need to be telling your friends and talking about it. And I think that's had the greatest effect overall with these general licenses. BASC, the Countryside Alliance, and other organisations have used social media to a great extent. The rural community have been fantastic at voicing the concerns and voicing the misinformation that's been being pushed out there by the likes of Chris Packham and Wild Justice. And this needs to continue, whether for target sports or for countryside pursuits. Use the tools we have available to be able to get the correct message and the right voice out there. And people like Chris Packham, the do-gooders that think that they know best, need to keep it to themselves and stop trying to meddle in matters that they don't fully understand. But there we go, guys. Just an update on this general licenses. It looks pretty much that everything's back to normal. So I think I might go pigeon shooting later just to celebrate. I'll try and avoid sending them to Chris Packham though. He obviously doesn't quite like that. But there we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. As I said, if you want more information, go and check out the gun room and Johnny's video over there. I'll put a link in the description below. But again, thank you very much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you soon.